To be equally yoked doesn't mean that both of y'all saved.
How does a pastor get that verse wrong? It is okay to get something wrong from time to time. As a pastor, as a preacher, teacher, you're going to get some things wrong. But you shouldn't get the obvious, the easy things wrong. And the reason why we see this nowadays is because there are pastors who are trying to be deep, trying to be cute, trying to be profound, trying to say something that, hey, we didn't see that. As a matter of fact, no one in the history of mankind ever saw that. But here I am to bring it to light for you to see. Here I am to elucidate something that no one else saw. And what we see here is a relatively newer pastor, a younger pastor, who was also a gospel artist. And we see more and more singers, gospel artists, Christian artists, who are going into ministry because they got some fame, people like them, they got some followers, and because they can sing, can carry a note or put some notes or music together, then obviously it'd be easier for me to do the same thing, translate that into preaching and hold and captivate their attention. Why? Because the word's not important, it's just entertaining. And so if I can take the word, kind of mix up a little bit and make it entertaining, then that's what I'll do, even if it goes against scripture. Travis Greene does that with this passage.
To be equally yoked doesn't mean that both of y'all saved. Because you can be deep and they can be shallow. To be equally yoked means to be connected with someone who has the capacity for your call. The greatest decision I made after salvation was yoking with the right chick. This girl is anointed. She's fine, faithful, trying to find another F word, fulfilling.
I understand, and I'm happy that he has found the woman that he believes is the right woman for him. He married her, so guess what? If you say I do, well, then she's the right one for you. But to take that passage and to twist it, and to now, the passage doesn't mean what other folks think it means sometimes also, but the obvious portion of the passage does mean just that. So let's go to the passage and look at it, but let's do it while we're listening to him again.
To be equally yoked doesn't mean that both of y'all saved. Because you can be deep and they can be shallow.
Now, let's go to the passage and look at what it says. He says to be equally yoked does not mean that both of you all are saved. Now, point of fact, it doesn't refer to marriage, but it can include marriage. So, does being equally yoked mean that you have to be saved, that both of you are saved? Well, whatever you're doing, including marriage. Look at the passage. We're looking at the NASB, and we're going to go to the King James Version in a second as well. It says, do not be bound together with unbelievers. For what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness? Now, let's go ahead and bring over the King James Version as well. Let me just slide this over. You all can see that it says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. And so what is the thing that you're not to be yoked with? Unbelievers. If you are with an unbeliever, you are unequally yoked, whether it's in business, whether it's in something, whether you're building something, what have you, just in life. Certainly that also includes marriage. This part is just kind of frustrating because it's the easiest, obvious text that we see people mangling, that we see people butchering just for the sake of getting some screams, some yells, it's an attention grabber. Well, listen, why don't you try to grab people's attention with what the word says? Let's put it back on the screen again. He says, be ye, as a matter of fact, let's put both of these over. Let's move the Greek. We don't need the Greek at this point. Let's the NASB, and the King James Version. They both said the same thing. Do not be bound together with unbelievers. For what partnership has have righteousness with lawlessness, or what fellowship with light has darkness? You don't think that applies to the marriage? By the way, it also says, or what harmony has Christ with Belial, or what has a believer in common with an unbeliever? This isn't difficult. And to say these things, to say that that's not what it means, well, what does it mean? Well, let's listen to his explanation again.
To be equally yoked means to be connected with someone who has the capacity for your call.
To be equally yoked means to be connected with someone who has the capacity for your calling. Let's put it back on the screen. Let's see if we can glean that from there. Well, no, we can't glean that. That's not there. Stop making things up. It's not a pet peeve of mine. It bothers me to no end, but it's also a pet peeve of God. Stop mangling the scriptures. You didn't write it. I didn't write it. He gave it to us, inspired by the Spirit. Let's read it. Take it for what it's worth. It has nothing to do with someone who can understand or has a capacity for what your calling is, anything like that. It's nice if you find someone that actually meets up with you and you guys kind of accentuate your positive and so forth. He's this, she's that, and so forth. Or they might be total opposites, or they might be alike. That's not what this means at all. And unfortunately, him saying what he's saying, that's wrong. And then the fact that people are listening and clapping and cheering, just as wrong, because somebody in there should actually have a Bible. Maybe he ought to go ahead and let's see. Does he have a Bible while he's reading this?
The greatest decision I made after salvation.
Well, there is one over there by the pulpit. There's a hard copy and then there's a computer. So somewhere in there he should be able to just read it. I don't know if they have this on the screen there, but somebody should have said, "Excuse me, sir," at least afterwards. And then, you know what? I made a mistake. Let me take that down, or put at the bottom, I made a mistake. So guys, be careful who you listen to. If you're going to mess this up, it makes you wonder, what else are you messing up?